so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Monday, the 10th day of October 2022, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands, also Columbus Day or Discovery Day in the United States as well. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. Also remember that in the absence of signage reminding you to use your indicators when negotiating a roundabout, the roundabouts of the Cayman Islands, in the absence of those signs, please remember to do so as well. We know that the National Roads Authority, they are working diligently to ensure that more signage is posted to remind you as well. But if you are familiar with the road codes, and if you are a good driver, and when I say good driver, I don't mean that you know how to maneuver a vehicle. Good driving also means being familiar and observing the rules of the road as well. And if you do possess those qualities, then we know that you know exactly what you're doing on the roads of the Cayman Islands as well. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. They remind you, don't take chances with your family's future. And we will name some persons who are celebrating their birthday today a little later on as well. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. For those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. So folks, I want to thank you for allowing the Radio Cayman and by extension, for the record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. Follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. And also remember that we are on Facebook also, right, Miss Susan? We are on Facebook. So those of you out there, we're glad that you continue to listen to your radio station, Radio Cayman. We hope and we trust that we're providing you with information that you want, and whenever we're not providing that to you, let us know, and we will certainly respond as well. So let's go to the birthday shout-outs today, and we see here that Mr. David Powery celebrating a birthday today. Big, huge Radio Cayman supporter and fan, Miss Lisa Gold, celebrating her birthday today. Huge Radio Cayman fan. And many of you are as well. All of you who are listening, you are. Also celebrating a birthday today, Carmen Denira Brown, Carmen Brown, and also Heidi Wallace celebrating a birthday today as well. Also, a good friend over in the Philippines, Mr. Eddie Powell, will be celebrating his birthday tomorrow also. Of course, there's something like 13 hours ahead of us. So, he'll be celebrating it a little bit earlier, over in the Philippines as well. But we want to say happy birthday to Mr. Eddie Powell when it comes along as well. So, if you have any birthday greetings, please send them in to us. Even if the time period has already passed, when the opportunity arises during the course of the show, we will mention them as well. And again, to remind you that the For the Record birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. They remind you not to take chances with your family's future. Folks in West Bay, I have a special for you today, and you want to keep this date in mind because it may not be a bad idea to consider celebrating this day in the Cayman Islands, or at least in West Bay. Miss Izzy Powell's school in West Bay. There's an article in the Tradewinds newspaper of the October the 14th, 1965, concerning Miss Izzy's school. And we were told in that article that her school first opened on the 1st of October. Had the article right here. Yes. 1st of October, school profile. 19... I'll find it for you. Just bear with me. Don't want to have blank space. Okay, here we go. So the October of There's a photograph here of Miss Izzy and some of her students as well. So here we go. Hope I'll have enough time to read this. If not, we'll be. This is an article written by Miss Ardith Smith, who was a reporter for the Tradewinds newspaper, wrote many articles, a lot of history. Says in an earlier issue of the Tradewinds, a report is in connection with private schools in the district of West Bay was published. And though it is noteworthy that no names were mentioned, the article met with severe indignation on the part of those who had recently been interviewed by a staff reporter. However, a humble beginning or a tragic ending does not exclude fulfillment of purpose somewhere between. Abraham Lincoln, who was born in a log cabin, sometimes walked 15 miles to borrow a book, and we may be assured that honest Abe also walked a long journey and returned the book after studying it by the glow of a wood fire. However, the achievements of that great man have been the fulfilled dreams of many boys. Goes on to say, Miss Powell's school had a humble beginning, too. It was started on the 1st of October, 1929. Remember that, folks? Miss Izzy Powell's school, 1st of October, 1929. West Bears, you should make that a public holiday. It started in a room of her mother's house, where she still resides. Of course, this article is 1965, with only 3 students in attendance, namely Rayburn Farrington and his sister Verna, who have both attained successful adulthood. It is presumed that Rayburn was satisfied with the beginning of his education, as 30 years later his oldest son Charles was also enrolled at this very same school. The third pupil, Kathleen Ebanks, is now a nurse at the government hospital. Many who got their start at this school are now well-educated persons holding responsible positions, one of whom, for example, is Mr. Arthur Ebanks of the Customs Department in the Georgetown Post Office. As years went by, Miss Powell's pupils grew in number until the one room was no longer convenient. At that time, the late Mrs. Lois Parsons offered her in-laws' vacant house for the use of the school, saying she preferred the house to be kept open and serve a purpose in memory of those who had lived there. Okay, folks, I have to take a commercial break. When we return, we're not going to take any phone calls because I want to share this article with all of you and to celebrate the District of West Bay. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Grand Cayman's road system, a seemingly constant work in progress, saw significant development during the tenure of Commissioner George Stephenson Hearst in the early 1900s. Elegant Avenue, named after the British colonial secretary, saw the arrival of a police station, public works depot, and the new government house. Along with Elegant Avenue, Hearst laid out Mary Street, and a drivable road from Georgetown was constructed the length of the 7 miles to West Bay, with a separate extension to Batabanu. Shedden Road was named after the previous commissioner, Friedrich Shedden Saningwetti, and was resurfaced, widened, and extended through the swampy interior to Boddentown. This new extension was called Crewe Road, after Elgin's British colonial secretary successor, the Earl of Crewe. The road to Boddentown also included an offshoot extension from Savannah to Newlands. The Cayman Islands' first ever recorded sporting event, a bicycle race, would take place on Boxing Day 1909 on the new highway from Georgetown to Boddentown.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
The Rotary Central Gumball Car Rally is back on track Saturday, October 15th, Start Point Cricket Square. Same day registration, 11:30 a.m. Get your clues, find the answers, find Gumball Rally finish line, and win loads of great prizes and surprises. Rally car preparation, rally spirit, and lots more. Register now, only $120 per entry. Up to 4 persons per rally car. Register online, rotarycentralky@gmail.com or call 936-1344. That's 936-1344. Same-day registration, only $125. Proceeds go to the Cayman Heart Fund. Rotary Central Gumball Rally. A fun event, not a race event. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
So much happening, so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777. We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio yet, but we will have guests after the 8 o'clock news. Birthday shout-outs. We have a birthday shout-out going to Miss Alice Faye Christian. She celebrated 67 years on this beautiful earth yesterday, Sunday, and may God continue to bless her as well. We also have birthday shout-outs going to Miss Claudine Ranking. She celebrated her birthday on the 10th of October, and those birthday greetings are coming from your husband. So, Miss Claudine Rankin, belated happy birthday to you. Oh, no, not belated. Sorry, today is the 10th. You're celebrating a birthday today, the 10th. Happy birthday to you as well. So, folks, I'm going to try to share this article, the remainder of this article with you. Just remember, 1st of October, 1929. Write it down, remember it. It would be interesting to see how many persons know that is when Miss Izzy Powell's school commenced in West Bay. 1st of October, 1929. Write it down because, our written history, some of it is sparse and scarce, and we need to retain that. And West Bay, if you want a national holiday, what better day to have than the 1st of October for you to celebrate the opening of Miss Izzy Powell's school. So the house was offered, and they wanted it to serve as a purpose in memory of those who had lived there. The article says that the weekly school fee is 1 shilling, and under the present circumstances, Miss Powell sees no chance of providing a modern school building. Her assistance for repairs comes from her nephew, Mr. Jimmy Powell, who is a carpenter, now building the Royal Bank of Canada. History again. Financial situation has forced Miss Powell to seek part-time employment as a clerk, and she is assisted at the school by Miss Florence Tatum. The late Mr. Timothy Ebanks assisted in having the school recognized by the school board, and during the same time, the Reverend George Hicks was inspector of schools. He dutifully graded her students, administered examinations, etc. The school is still visited by the present director, Roel Brooks, and any other necessary records are maintained. At the time of the school board's recognition of her school, she was made to understand that if the school succeeded, she would become eligible for government assistance. So she had to succeed in order to get government assistance. The mere fact that she was making an effort to educate people, was that not enough? She had to show success. And what was success being measured by? Folks, those are just my words. So let me just read, because, sometimes I have a tendency to go off on a tangent. So I'm going to read that part again. So she was made to understand that if the school succeeded, she would become eligible for government assistance. This she neither asked for nor received. She has successfully taught many children who were deaf mutes or had speech or other defects which required special tutoring and who would have been more handicapped amongst the larger and abler groups. Now, there are some words that are used in this article, and we can remember that this was written in 1965, so socially and politically correct. The way we are today, we would not use things like saying having defects. We would call them impediments maybe, but not defects. Sounds like some sort of vehicle or object rather than a human being. But we understand the time that this article was written. So it says that she even turned some away because of their ability to pay weekly fees. Many of the recent recipients of scholarships got their start at Miss Powell's school, among them Carol Ann Ebanks and Bendel Hides. And we know Mr. Bendel Hides, a renowned Caymanian artist as well. Yes. The in-between has been good, and the school started 36 years ago, and it is still going forward. Like I said, this article was written in 1965 as well. So, folks, again, 1st of October, 1929, Miss Izzy Powell's school started. Many prominent West Bayers attended that school or their children as well. And folks, I will say again, you should, if not a national holiday, then celebrate it as part of your culture day in West Bay. 1st of October, Miss Izzy Powell's school started in the Cayman Islands. 1st of October, 1929. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will have guests in the studio, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is 7:59, brought to you with the kind compliments of Foster's.
Looking for better prices?
You'll always find them at Foster's.
Just like Huggies Snug and Dry, only $10.59. Save $2.
Or find better value on Gain laundry detergent. 46 ounce, just $6.39. Save $2.30. And P.F. Chang's entrees, $8.99. Save up to $4.50.
You'll find even more great specials across the island at all Foster's locations and online at fosters.ky. Foster's. Better prices because we care.
Price is good until 19th October 2022.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Fire crews were sent to North Side this morning for a structure fire. Traffic delays were heavy in the area, although the road is reportedly open now. The blaze was reported around 6 a.m. this morning near the Over the Edge restaurant. No injuries were reported. Government lawmakers blew through a number of annual reports on Friday. About a dozen reports ranging from the Ministries of Tourism, Education and Planning to the Stock Exchange, Maritime Authority, and the National Trust were tabled by ministers responsible. Few remarks are made regarding the documents as opposition was not present during proceedings and no questions were asked. Proceedings in Parliament resumed today at 10 a.m. Speaker of the House, the Honorable Makiba Bush, says there's still work to be done to modernize legislation around management of Parliament.
There is noticeable operational and administrative deficiencies since we began with the law, since we brought the law into operation I say which don't augur well for functionality and the efficient operation and governance of the Parliament.
Mr. Bush is calling for changes and updates to the Parliament Management Act as well as the standing orders.
Let us not lose sight of the critical importance of equally addressing our antiquated and archaic standing orders also, which isn't fit for purpose at this time.
In his remarks on Friday, Mr. Bush stressed the importance of having an autonomous House of Parliament. In other news, Cayman National Robotics Team is heading to Geneva, Switzerland to compete against robotics teams from 180 countries in the first global challenge. Coach Desmond White says the team is comprised of a select group of students from schools who participated in First Tech Challenge in Kamana Bay in March.
From that competition, students are nominated by their coaches at their different schools. Then they go through an interview process, and from that process, students are selected. So some of these students didn't know each other really before the competition, and so it's good to see how they have come together and have worked together well.
The team spent the summer designing, building, and testing their robot, which not only challenges their engineering skills, but teaches teamwork as well.
It takes a lot to get the robot together, so you have some students who are involved in the building, some are involved in the programming, and then there's an engineering journal that has to be completed based on the activities that were carried out, based on the design process.
The program is part of the DART Minds-inspired program, which hosted a send-off this weekend to show off the robot and give the team a chance to chat with sponsors and supporters. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Justine Green. President Putin has confirmed that dozens of missile attacks launched by Russia across Ukraine were in retaliation for Saturday's blast on the only bridge to Russian-occupied Crimea. He said the strikes targeted energy, military and communications facilities. Mr. Putin described the explosion on the Kerch Bridge as a terrorist act that couldn't go unanswered. The Russian bombardment is the most widespread since the early weeks of the invasion ordered by Mr. Putin. Ukrainian cities from Lviv in the west to Kharkiv in the northeast have been hit. Despite Moscow's insistence that the strikes were precisely targeted, civilian areas in the capital Kyiv have been badly damaged. Busy roads, parks and tourist sites were attacked during rush hour. Large areas are without power. There's been criticism across Europe of the Russian attacks. The European Commission described them as barbaric and cowardly. The German Defence Ministry said an air defence system would be sent to Ukraine very soon. The Nobel Prize for Economics has been awarded to 3 American bankers, including a former chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Ben Bernanke, Douglas Diamond and Philip Dybvig won the prize for their research on avoiding the financial collapse of banks. The authorities in the Ethiopian region of Tigray have accused the federal government and its Eritrean allies of launching an indiscriminate artillery bombardment of civilian areas. They've urged members of the Tigrayan public to join the fighting. China has reported its highest number of COVID cases for 7 weeks. Restrictions have been imposed in numerous towns and cities. There's increased pressure to control the outbreaks before an important Communist Party meeting in Beijing next week, at which Xi Jinping is expected to get a 3rd term in office. Officials at Tunisia's powerful UGTT labour union say the country only has enough petrol to last a week. Long queues have been jamming roads in Tunis, with motorists waiting to fill their tanks. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make emergency advisory due to infrastructure upgrades. Customers on Powery Road and all side roads in West Bay will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Thursday, October 13th between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. For more information on the outage, contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky. Please be reminded that the Department of Agriculture has implemented an alternative payment method. All your livestock, farm, and home garden products can be paid using your credit or debit card. Their sales warehouse is open Monday to Friday, 8:15 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, call 947-3090 or email ciagriculture@gov.ky.
Radio Cayman News.
I have taken the decision and tendered my resignation.
The speaker is accused of alleged misconduct against 2 women at a government function back in September.
Members of the opposition are noticeably absent in Parliament.
Under this government, we are rapidly becoming a kangaroo parliament.
This PAC administration retains the confidence of the people of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Hi, my AC just went out and I need someone to come fix it.
I'm sorry, we're closed.
Okay, what about tomorrow?
We're only open on Thursday, and we're fully booked.
Have anything next week?
No.
Okay, when can you send someone out?
The 22nd is open.
I'll take it.
Of December 2023.
With the best medical cover for your dollar, we're like an AC technician who isn't too busy for you. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current is 2 degrees. Relative humidity is 90%. The barometric pressure is 29.93 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-northeast at 6 knots. Overnight low temperature was 80 degrees. Synopsis indicate isolated showers along with moderate winds and seas will continue across the Cayman Islands for the next 24 hours as an upper-level divergence associated with Tropical Storm Julia enhances localized conditions. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the west. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is issuing advisories on Tropical Storm Julia. If you need additional information, you can always visit www.nhc.noaa.gov. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and thunder, and temperatures will rise to the high 80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with a 40% chance of showers and thunder, and showers will be locally heavy at times. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 9:47, low tide this afternoon at 3:44, and a high tide again tonight at 9:22. The sun will set this evening at 5 minutes after 6 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:19. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Hey, Bill, glad to see you back in the office.
Who?
Bill.
Oh, sorry. I think you're mistaking me for someone else.
Tom.
Nope.
Jack.
No.
Alex.
No. Want me to just tell you?
Nope, I got this, George.
No, you don't. Still not me.
Adam.
Not even close, man.
We're like a coworker that didn't forget your name. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Okay, good to see you, Mike Johnson.
It's Mordecai.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road, traffic is busy, as well as on the Linford Pearson Highway, and also on Cool Road heading to Georgetown. Eastbound traffic on Cool Road is moving on moderately. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is busy, as well as off of Agnes Way, off the Linford Pearson Highway. As we look to Esterly Tibbetts Highway, traffic is busy as well, heading towards the Butterfield Roundabout. And continuing on to North Sound Road, traffic is steady in both directions. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic flowing at a good pace. As we look to downtown Georgetown, light to moderate traffic flow on Edward Street. And out of Georgetown on to Shedden Road, traffic is moving along swiftly. Coming from the West Bay 4-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. And that's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again. At about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock, we'll give you another traffic report. Remember, click it or ticket.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
The Rotary Central Gumball Car Rally is back on track Saturday, October 15th, Start Point Cricket Square. Same day registration, 11:30 a.m. Get your clues, find the answers, find Gumball Rally finish line, and win loads of great prizes and surprises. Rally car preparation, rally spirit, and lots more. Register now, only $120 per entry, up to 4 persons per rally car. Register online, rotarycentralky@gmail.com, or call 936-1344. That's 936-1344. Same day registration, only $125. Proceeds go to the Cayman Heart Fund. Rotary Central Gumball Rally, a fun event, not a race event. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
The Fall Labor Force Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The Labor Force Survey collects data on employed and unemployed persons. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviewers will exercise appropriate COVID-19 protocols using personal protective equipment. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning, and welcome back to For the Record. Our guests, I think I may have misinformed you there. Our guest will be in the studio at 8:30. At 8:30, as opposed to 8:15. So one of our listeners has written and said, "Good morning. Thank you so much for sharing these very interesting and important articles from the Trade Winds newspaper. If at all possible." Oh, okay. They want me to send them about Miss Izzy's school and as well, and we will send that to you. Found some more tidbits. I'm not going to talk politics. We're not going to talk politics this morning, at least not yet. You know, they can't go by without talking it. But right now, sharing stuff with you. One of the things that I discovered recently was that did any of you know that we actually imported small turtles into the Cayman Islands starting in 1959? Hatchlings. They were brought in to the Cayman Islands from Nicaragua by an organization that was connected with the Department of Biology at the University of Florida in Gainesville. Did you also know that there was a part of Costa Rica, a portion of Costa Rica, known by many Caymanians as Turtle Bogue or Tortuguero. That is where hatchlings were found. I'll give you more information about that as well. That's coming from Mr. Ernest Patton and his public relations officer column in the Tradewinds newspaper. And I'll remind you again, I've said this over and over, after Mr. Ernest Patton retired as an assistant administrator, he was asked to assume the new role of public relations officer for the Cayman Islands government. Those days, we didn't have government information services. Of course, when the late Miss Olive Miller came to the Cayman Islands, then she assumed that role as well. But Mr. Ernest Patton was the public relations officer for the Cayman Islands government in the mid-60s. I believe we do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am thankful that I'm able to talk to you today. I'm hurting like a lot of good Caymanians, but I'm not going into politics. That's going to be too long. You could talk enough of that. But let me say that I am one of those students from Miss Iz's school.
Okay. Yeah.
But I didn't learn anything because I was going through a bad time. Because at 5 years old, I lost the only brother I had to being electrocuted. He was 10 years old.
Wow.
It wrecked my entire family. And I remember from Miss Iz's school, her assistant, who was Miss Florence Tatum, I remember her grabbing me up and taking me back to my parents because I was screaming and I was pulling her hair. But another thing I distinctly remember was a friend from Mount Pleasant. He passed a couple of years ago. He was asked, "Where did you go to school?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I went to Miss Izza High School." He said, "Miss Izza High School?" "Yeah," he said, "because I spent most of the time up in that tree." Oh, yeah, he was a character. And before I really, where I called, is to offer condolences to my good friend Captain Coolidge Connolly, the passing of his sister. And I don't know if your assistant got through to you. The other day when I called to offer condolences to the family of the late Johnny Lee and Clifford, I took a chance. Miss Susan took my call and said right away, I am instructed not to take any calls that's not dealing with this thing about McKeever. But she said I would pass it on to the OC, and then I said, yeah, once I get it out, because Miss John Lee and I worked together for 3 years in the Seafarers office. And while her name may be up on that board, neither is mine. Let me tell you something. When I got elected president of that thing, brother, it was dead. So that's okay about my name not being up there, but the records will show what happened. And when they came to look for me, the man used to say a quartermaster of me, and I knew nothing about no Seafarers Association. He started to cry and he sat down, and I said to the guy who was sailing engineer with me, "Why is he crying?" And I can tell you about me losing what we thought we had was an association.
Mm-hmm.
So see, I don't want to delve into that, but this is about Caymanians, and trying to right wrongs.
Yes.
Mr. Dick Arch was the treasurer. So if I wanted some of the things that find out what went on, talk to him. So see, I was shocked. $500 worth of turtle meat. When I found that, I said, boy, they ate a lot of turtle meat. But when I asked one of the members, I said, what did you all do so we could have something to remember Miss Gwen? Remember Miss Gwen? Do you remember Miss Gwen? That's not why I asked you. Did you all erect something? No. I asked another one who came behind him because, I was not a member of this thing, I knew nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
They came to my office to get me to agree to allow my name to go in nomination.
Okay.
So this another one said to me, he said, no, it's kind of a long story, but we got to get going. We came here to ask you if you would allow your name to go in nomination, get elected as president, because, and he is saying, oh, we lost it. But both of us sailed with you. We know you. We know what you give. And that's why we're here. I said, well, I was not a member of that association. I know nothing about it. And you come to ask me, allow me to. You say, yeah, but we know you. That's why we know, but in 5 days you're going to be going. I said, okay, I got to go plant my seeds. That time I was planting corn, and I retired. And after they left, I went and asked my wife. She was doing cross-stitch, but I thought she was near enough to hear some of it. She said, why was that man crying? I said he was crying because he said he thought they had an association to honor Cayman seamen, but, it's gone. And so he just hugged me. He was crying so much, he never really got to say so much. That's how touched he was.
Mm-hmm.
My wife said to me, Owen, I believe that's genuine. See what you can do to help. I said, okay. Next day I went. You talk about getting somebody elected so fast. See, I don't even remember now. I got everything on record, but and Walsham Connolly had been the president from the beginning, and mind, this is not 2 days ahead. They started getting together. I think it was 19th, and anyway, it was months and months they were together as an association, and he was winding up. He said, get ready to do this thing. If not, I could throw these keys on the floor. Somebody better take them. So I knew that man was serious.
Hmm.
Oh, the guy jumped up. I nominated Captain Owen Farrington as president. Ransom Burleson, I didn't know he would get up so fast. I second the motion, and also, sir, allow me to also add another motion. I moved that nomination cease. And that's how fast I got elected.
Okay. How long did you serve?
3 years.
3 years? Okay.
And that, you know what that was? That was in violation of the Constitution because I was only supposed to stay there 2 years.
Okay.
But Mr. Clarence Flower's brother passed, blessed memory, good Christian man, but names, unless I got my papers here, but you know who I'm talking about.
Mr. Roy
Mitchell.
Mitchell, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was a good man, a good Christian man. He came in my office to meet me, and right away I realized this man is a man of God. I told him to sit down. I know he had something to do, but kind of give me a background of what they've been doing. He shook his head and said, we've been talking, we've been eating. I don't know, if I'm happy about telling you about anything else, because I don't know anything of consequence that we did that I can waste some time telling you about. But, yesterday, I didn't meet you before. I probably saw your name somewhere, but I heard enough about you yesterday. It made me feel cool, come in here to meet you, because everything I heard made you to be a good man. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and with the help of the good Lord, I can help to put together something that the Cayman Islands can be proud of, because if there's any place in the world that should have a good, healthy seafarers association, it's the Cayman Islands. I said, on the coat of arms, it says, he founded upon the seas. You didn't know this, but I was there when it was agreed upon that this is good. I got elected a member of the Assembly in West Bay, as a representative of West Bay in 1953. And one of the last things I did was to look at the draft of what the coat of arms would look like and sign, yes, agreed. I think it was beautiful then. I think it's beautiful now. I can't take any more of your time because a lot of people want to get on. But I am writing and trying to, complete a book to give the younger generation some idea of what it was back then. I'm 90 years old now, and, I'm in a different world. What is happening now, let's say this, so see, we got to pray. We have to pray.
Mm-hmm.
We have to pray hard, because I can say, being 90 years old, started out in 53, getting elected in West Bay, and following politics. My dad served the District of West Bay for 55 years, unbroken. That's a Commonwealth record that hasn't been broken since. So you imagine growing up, being his driver, he was a member of the Executive Council, so he would go into meetings, and he didn't drive.
Okay. Captain Owen, I got about 1 minute left before we have to go to our commercial break.
Just let me say thank you very much, and thank you for the info you're sending out. And let me say also to my brothers and sisters out in Octoberland, which is the month of the older person.
Mm-hmm.
God blessing. Stay safe. We will work to get things better. I feel for you all, but it's never this, and to be sure that your grandchildren make notes, because what is happening now never ever happened in the Cayman Islands. So this is historic, and it's unfortunate that I will have to take my grandchildren, if I wanted to, or great-grandchildren, to say, you see here, this is, what we did, and we honoring this person, all that. I said, no. I am going to, hopefully with the help of the good Lord, record things that they don't know about. All about Mrs. School, yes, I could have said that because I was a student there. And the lady had me in her arms, take me back to my parents' house. Her brother, who became a captain, called me to rescue 18 Cayman seamen who were out of food and water.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that something, a small world?
Certainly is.
But anyway, sir, let me just assure you, if you have not believed it, that the service you are providing is appreciated very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Captain Owen. You have a great day, and please stay safe as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I introduce our guests this morning, birthday greetings to go out to Indel Miles and also Roy Gold. So birthday greetings, Indel Miles and Roy Gold. Okay, now it is my pleasure to introduce to you in the studio again today the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Jerry Hugh. And those of you who are wondering, well, isn't Mondays the day that the government normally will be on For the Record? And you are absolutely correct. Monday has been reserved for government, Wednesdays for the opposition, and basically Fridays is a flexibility day. We have seen in the past where the members of the opposition have switched days to facilitate discussions by government departments and other entities. And of course, those days when that have been reserved for specific entities, if they're not filled, then that flexibility is there. And today happened to be one of those days where there were no bookings and the opposition inquired, and they're here with us. And I believe that you probably want to hear from them as well, and as the others. Those of you who didn't have the opportunity to listen into the proceedings at our Parliament on Friday, I'm sure that you're curious to hear what may have transpired there. You would want to hear from the proverbial horse's mouth why the opposition decided to boycott the proceedings at our Parliament as well. Some of you may or may not have been able to watch the press briefing also. So, gentlemen, without any further ado, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and thank you for having us. Thank you for accommodating us on this Monday morning. Certainly a pleasure to be here. It's a little rainy out there, and I want to say to everyone that's listening in the cars to take your time, be careful coming in. The roads are wet, and accidents happen during these times, so just be careful. And also want to once again recognize how blessed we are and grateful that we managed to avoid by the Lord's blessings another storm, and our thoughts and prayers go out to those who were affected in Nicaragua and other parts across Central America.
Certainly, yes.
And just add my chorus as well, OC, to say good morning to the Cayman Islands and to yourself. Thank you too for agreeing to host us this morning, what is normally a day reserved for the government. So I'm glad that we can be here.
Okay, so I'm sure that people are curious. So let's talk about your decision to boycott the parliamentary proceedings on Friday, and I believe you have stated that you will continue to boycott it until the current speaker is no longer in the chair.
That is correct, OC. There's also a lot of confusion out there, and so I just want to, I understand that on one of the online platforms or on the radio, there's a lot of discussion about who was talking to the PPM and whether or not anyone was talking to us, why we would bring a lack of confidence motion against the government. And based on the comments made by ourselves and during our press conference last week. Well, let me just say, OC, we have, the leader and myself have been in Parliament about 10 years now. If you read all the ads in the papers, that makes us, for jobs, that makes us qualified, because every ad says you need at least 10 years experience, and if you have 15, you have, you're over-experienced. Overqualified. So we're right there. We have, a wealth of knowledge behind us. Sir Alden, who himself has been through 2 or 3 of these votes of no confidence over the years. We would not waste the people's time and the Parliament's time by bringing a frivolous vote if we did not believe, when we filed it at that time, that there was a cause to do so. And I'll just leave it at that. We only have 6 people on our side, so we can't bring down the government alone. Anyway, the events that evolved since that, OC, in particular that of the incident with, alleged incident with the Honourable Speaker. OC, first of all, and I want to reiterate this, when the Parliament was delayed by 3 days, by 2 days, from Wednesday to Friday, we automatically recognized that this was probably done so that motions could be filed, so that you would have the 7 days motions. The deadline given by the clerk, and we can pull those up, was 5 o'clock Wednesday for the following Wednesday's Parliament. So just quickly, if you calculate what they're calling 5 clear days, that would mean that Thursday is a clear day, Friday is a clear day, Monday is a clear day, and Tuesday is a clear day. That's only 4. So the clerk is either following the Constitution, even when she says no weekends, she's meaning Sunday or public holidays as weekends, and she's counting Saturday, or she's counting the Wednesday up until 5 o'clock as a clear day as well. Either way, that's the only way you're going to get 5 days, from Wednesday to Wednesday. So they then postponed it by 2 days. So on Friday, following the same letter of advice, 5 p.m. Friday, we filed a motion of no confidence against the Speaker before 4 o'clock on Friday. Mm-hmm. Either using their calculations gives us Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as 5 clear days, or if the clerk was using Friday, that would give us Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as 5 clear days. Either way you put it, the mathematics gives us the 5 clear days based on the notice period that we receive from the clerk and based on what the Constitution says and the definition of clear days.
Which I think you have to, if I could just interject here in terms of looking to the definition of clear days. The standing orders, nor do the Constitution specify what that is. Mm-hmm. They are silent. Mm-hmm. So your next step then is to look to the interpretation law, right, which we did, and it is quite clear there that clear days does not include Sundays, nor does it include a public holiday. So either way you look at it, in the way in which the Deputy Speaker, when she gave me her letter in response where she said it was out of time, if you look back the letter that she referred to from the Speaker, from the clerk, and you look at the way that the clerk calculated it, it was totally in keeping with that definition, as was the second letter when she said that the deadline is Friday at 5 p.m. for the submission of motions.
Okay. Now, have you received any response from your last letter that you wrote to the presiding officer then, or Deputy Speaker, in relation to your interpretation and your calculation?
None. There has been no response. I did ask her in my letter, my closing statement to her was...
The response, in my opinion, Mr. Connor, the response was the Speaker resigning effective November 30th. To me, that was a response that we received. That is the way that they decided that they would deal with this matter versus having the vote of no confidence in the Parliament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but... Getting back specifically, I wrote to her, I said, in the circumstances, I urge you to reconsider your decision not to allow the lack of confidence in the Speaker motion to proceed when Parliament commences tomorrow. So I wrote that on the Thursday. It was probably early afternoon when that was sent to her.
Okay.
So we... Sorry.
No, go ahead. You can pick up.
So we felt very much so that the filing of our motion of no confidence against the Speaker was within time. And we explained before, we filed that motion because it seemed very obvious to us that the Premier was having difficulties dealing with it.
Yeah.
The Premier had said he had given the Speaker a deadline. Then he inferred that he was given an extension because of the storm. And then there was radio silence. So we decided at that point that, considering the uproar within the community, considering the concerns that we have had and the negative publicity we've seen around the region, that we would bring that vote of no confidence. And then the end result was that we were just brushed aside, not only in our vote of no confidence in the Speaker, but also a vote of no confidence in the government, which was on the order paper for the sitting of the night. What was the original date?
That was the 21st.
The 21st. The order paper was set for that date, which was delayed due to Hurricane Ian. And that was brushed aside and replaced with the vote of confidence in the government brought by a backbencher within the government. That's okay. You have the numbers as they clearly say. We can do what we want on the order paper. They could even change that on the morning of Parliament and suspend standing orders and whatever they want. But to point blank refuse with no justification, in our opinion, the vote of no confidence against the Speaker, we just could not handle that. And on top of that, as it had been ventilated on this show, if the Speaker resigns, he needs to vacate the chair. He should vacate the chair. He cannot resign pending November 30th. And even just from an optics perspective, Mr. Connor, what happens if he is charged between now and November 30th?
Or what happens if he isn't charged?
And what happens if he isn't charged?
That's the even bigger question.
Or what happens if something else happens between now and then? How does that look in our country?
Do you believe that the by the Parliament voting to accept the resignation, that binds him irrespective of what may occur as far as the police investigation is concerned?
Well, it certainly keeps him there until November 30th, in respect of whatever happens with the police investigation.
Okay. Now,
but he could very well change his mind.
Right. Yeah.
And they have demonstrated this week, and I called it out in the I think it was MP Seymour in his presentation that PAC has reset. This is a reset, but the way they're starting off their reset isn't very well. Anything built on a lie cannot prosper, we'll see.
Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want to ask the question in relation to the sitting of Parliament. Is there any required sitting between now and the 30th of November? Any budgetary issues, any pre-budget presentations? And the reason for that question is whether or not there is a resignation, but there will be a void as far as the sitting of Parliament is concerned between when it ends now and the 30th of November. Also, for those persons, and we see it on social media, saying that you were voted to represent the people of the Cayman Islands, and you have abdicated that responsibility by not appearing in Parliament, by boycotting. What do you say to them as well? Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
J&M Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at JN Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any JN Money location and send your money. The fast, convenient, and affordable JN Money. JN Money, touching down again. JN Money, ranga to la friend.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britk. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy MacTaggart, Deputy Leader, and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hughes. So, gentlemen, before the break, two questions. Whether or not there are any legally required proceedings that have to take place, like in relation to budgets, pre-budgets, or anything between now and the 30th of November. And what do you say to those persons who say that the opposition have abdicated their responsibility to represent the people who have elected them by boycotting Parliament?
Well, I'll take that. I'll give my views on it. There are no known scheduled meetings that are required or have been called for Parliament between now and November 30th. So, I mean, yes, they could call another meeting at any point in time, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and or possibly even a finance committee meeting or something like that to vote themselves more money. But with regard to the issues some are saying you're advocating your responsibilities, far from it. But by doing what we are doing, we continue to do our work. And a boycott is one of the few tools that an opposition has that they can utilize in order to register in the strongest terms their disdain and disapproval for the activities of what is going on and taking place in Parliament. The average person, an average voter, may not understand the significance of what government did last week in refusing a valid motion filed in accordance with terms of the standing orders in all respects to keep it out. And where I really get off, you can forgive the Deputy Speaker. She is a rookie. But at the end of the day, you have very seasoned politicians there and several lawyers on their team who know better. And yet still they didn't step in and do the right thing. And so I feel, very strongly about what we have done, and we have indicated that we will not step in there again until the Speaker has demitted office, and that would seem to be November 30th. The government, they can do whatever they want to between now and November 30th. At the end of the day, we are 6 people to their 12. They outnumber us 2-1. They can do anything that they want. Mm-hmm. They demonstrated that very clearly last week, with their maneuvering first to marginalize our no confidence motion in the government, and then to completely obliterate and refuse the no confidence motion in the Speaker. Mm-hmm. So, that activity last week tells me nothing is beyond them. Nothing is beyond what they would do to try and keep it from being heard.
So you feel that by sitting in the Parliament, you would actually be contributing to a situation that you absolutely oppose. So by sitting there, you would actually be sanctioning exactly what you were objecting to.
I mean, they have all, but if not tethered, they have the government. If they have not tethered, if not at least tethered, they possibly have denied us our opportunity and our response to our opportunity to carry out our responsibility as an opposition and as representatives of the people. And then we would have to go in there, sit there, take it, as well as feeling that, and within ourselves, that the vote of no confidence against the Speaker was filed within the timeline, and we've been denied that right, full well knowing that once the Speaker resigned, he should not be sitting in the chair. He should vacate the office. If at a minimum, he should take a leave of absence until that date and have the Deputy Speaker sit in the chair. Even that, even if they every one of them throw out there and their supporters that we are being sorry, been called it so much I forgot.
Well, I'll ask you a question.
That we are being oh my goodness.
It'll come to you. In the meantime, you're speaking about the Deputy Speaker sitting in the chair, but in your very sort of tongue-in-cheek poke at the Deputy Speaker in relation to her ruling, why would you want her now to be able to sit in the chair if she has demonstrated such quote-unquote incompetence or possibly failure to seek advice from the Parliament's legal advisor? How can you feel comfortable with her sitting in the chair to replace the Speaker if he were to leave this?
I can.
Go ahead.
Someone asked me that over the weekend, OC, and I can say this. We have said that we can excuse her because of her, the fact that she doesn't have the level of experience that the Speaker and the Premier and others over on the government side have. We did the same thing. We put Miss Barbara Connolly MP in the chair when we forced the Speaker to take a leave of absence during our tenure. I think everyone realized and everyone recognized, which we would do the same, because once we are in that Parliament, we are parliamentarians. We are there in that honourable hall to represent the people and to carry out the people's work. We would have worked with the Deputy Speaker on that from that perspective. I think everyone demonstrated that in the opposition, within the government. These things happen. Even when we were involved because I was part of the PPM team getting ready to contest the election in 2013, when the vote of no confidence against the then Premier Honourable McKeeva Bush was brought, and the government had basically a minority government, and it was agreed that, hey, this needs to be done. The opposition will work with you. You don't have to worry. Anything that's of any emergency there, over the next few months, just let us know. We'll come to the House. We're not going to try anything.
Supply and support.
Supply and support.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? OC, personally, and I did, personally, getting back to what I was saying earlier, as we're criticized of being hypocritical over our stance on the Speaker. OCI was not the leader or the deputy leader at the time, but I recognized my role as a member of the Progressives and as a minister in the government. With hindsight, OC, I can say, yes, maybe we should have removed him. Maybe it would have changed the outcome of the elections. Perhaps it may have made him stronger in the elections. We don't know, but I accept that yes, okay, maybe we should have moved him rather than having him take a leave of absence, and then once he was convicted, or once he pled guilty, I understand, and was convicted, we went for an early election. We moved for an early election. Would that have changed outcome of the elections? I don't know. But we made the decision at that time. Perhaps it was a wrong one. I will accept that. But we made the decision at the time that we would let the people of West Bay choose whether or not they return him to Parliament. Then we lost the current Premier, Wayne Panton, as a member of the PPM because of that decision. He said that is where our...
I think something to the effect that our paths now cross.
Because his principles and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he took down the PPM sign up at Savannah and put up a hashtag "She is supported" sign over the billboard, over the PPM sign. But then, now we fast forward, OC. He formed a government with the Speaker, knowing the history, and now he's facing the same thing that we faced. And we are also, with hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, facing the same thing we did back then, just in the opposition role. OC, I'm speaking for me personally. During the election, I was not, I think the Speaker also, but during the election I made it clear that I would not be working with the Speaker. I was one of the few. I took my licks for it. He made sure that I knew that he knew I said that. And OC, this last week, the decision was not easy. No one, and there is no one else out there who wants more to be in that Parliament representing the people of the country and getting the work of the people done. This is only the second sitting for 10 months, in 10 months. The first sitting was only 4 days. Unfortunately, I had a pre-planned family vacation. I was not even there. But I had to stand for something. And others within our party felt that at this time, at some point, someone has to stand up and say that one person cannot hold a country at ransom forever. At some point, you have to stand for something, or you just continue to go in the same circle over and over and over again.
Okay, folks, we've reached the top of the hour. Headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, For the Record will continue, so please stay tuned. Okay, somebody wrote and say...
To Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
More than 10 annual reports are tabled in the House of Parliament, many with little or no discussion as opposition members boycotted the meeting. Proceedings are scheduled to resume at 10 a.m. today. Make sure to listen to our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, to hear the proceedings live. Russia has carried out missile attacks on cities across Ukraine, including the capital, in what appears to be the most widespread set of attacks since early weeks of the war. Missiles have hit central Kyiv as the capital is targeted for the first time in months. Police say 10 people have been killed across the country. Ukraine's Air Force spokesman says Russia has fired 83 missiles at targets in Ukraine, with many of them shot down. Vladimir Putin confirms the strike, saying further, quote, terrorism against Russia will be met with similar response. He's referring to a large explosion on Saturday that badly damaged the only bridge linking Russia with occupied Crimea, a key route for military supplies for the war.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh. One of our listeners said, why didn't the opposition show up and table a motion, suspend standing order and suspend standing orders to allow the motion of no confidence in the Speaker? That would have pressured the government. So I would ask if you would then explain, if at all that were possible, and if it was not possible, why?
Yeah, good question, OC. And the short answer is that a member of the opposition just can't go in there and make a motion, table a motion. There is a process, and this is where the process went awry during the last week, that the opposition can file a motion. They have to file a motion and submit it to Parliament. It goes to the clerk, and that motion gets reviewed and normally is accepted by the Speaker. And in this case, because the motion surrounded the Speaker himself, he was the subject of the motion, it could not be considered and either accepted or refused by him. He had to allow the Deputy Speaker to do so. And so she refused it, so it did not even make it onto the business committee meeting, the agenda for the business committee meeting last week. It was last week Thursday when we met. It wasn't even there. Now, we kicked up a fuss inside there about it, but it made no difference. They had decided it wasn't going to go forward. Now, one could argue we could have gone there on Friday and raised, possibly raised a bit of a stink in the House with regard to it, but really, at the end of the day, it wasn't going to be on the agenda. They had refused it. And, the government does have the luxury. They can bring a motion and suspend standing orders from the floor of the House, but not the opposition.
Right. And the saying is that the opposition may have its say, but the government must have its
way.
Yeah, its way. Yeah. So one of our listeners has said, did the opposition timely and properly advise the clerk that you weren't going to be attending Parliament? I'm sure this is a question of the voting populace. And then they go on to say, please advise them to revisit the decision to sit out, and we really need them there to be an active opposition. And also, what if he is found guilty? Just my 6 cents speaking now.
Yeah. OC, I would readily confess, I did not give notice for Friday's absence. I don't think my members did. But we certainly have done so for today.
Okay.
And so the clerk is aware that the opposition will once again sit out the meeting today.
But we have seen other dramatics take place right in our own legislative assembly, as well in others where people really take the high road, go into the chamber, and then decide to walk out either when or before the proceedings start, as well as a real demonstration of their disappointment or dissatisfaction with what has taken place.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that happen in the past for certain. In this case, we did not do it. We rather just did not go down to the House on Friday.
Okay. Now,
and even more dramatic, I think, if I could say, were the pictures of showing in Parliament that the opposition benches were empty, and the Parliament continued. They appear to have sat there for some time before they proceeded with getting things underway.
Okay. Now, Friday, the 7th of October, that occurred in the Cayman Islands. Friday, the 7th of October, 2022, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, learned that the President of the Senate, Mr. Stanley Felix, was formally charged by police under Section 376 of the Criminal Code of St. Lucia as the head of the government Honorable Pierre demanded the highest level of professionalism and integrity from all public officials at all times. As such, the Governor General, acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister and pursuant to Section 27, subsection 2E of the Constitution of St. Lucia, has been advised to revoke Mr. Felix's appointment and relieve him of his senatorial duties in the upper house of Parliament. His successor will be announced at a subsequent time. The Prime Minister assured the St. Lucian public that the continuation of the business of government and all related state affairs remains a priority to him and the cabinet which he leads. So, tale of two different countries, gentlemen.
Yep. Yes, sir. Well, see, I someone messaged me and told me to relax and speak from my heart. Today is a very difficult day. This Friday was even more difficult. The weekend was restless, and today is a difficult day. I have a burning passion to represent my people. Like I said, I had many questions. I think they're on the order paper today to ask in the Parliament. But, again, like I said, we can be criticized for being hypocritical. But me personally, for myself, I am not willing to go down the road that we went once before. And I have way too much respect and too much pride as a parliamentarian, as a Caymanian, to condone the actions that happened on Friday and to continue to allow one individual to hold the entire country at hostage. I cannot do that anymore.
I just to echo those comments too, we just can't sit here and just pretend nothing happened. And I mean, the fact, what grieves me really is the inaction of the Premier. As he drew a line in the sand, allowed the Speaker to cross it and do nothing about it. I mean, what, a resignation in November 30th? And you just continue as if nothing went on. I mean, my personal view is I think, good chance he may not demit office on the 30th of November, no matter what the Parliament does. It takes a 2/3 to remove him.
Sorry.
I finished my comment, really.
Yeah, I continue to get these messages about, the suspension of standing orders to be able to put a motion forward. And I'll do some research, while you're talking at some point to see if I can find it, because I think what our listeners need to know is that the moving of a substantial motion is completely different than when you're suspending standing orders, let's say for the business of the Parliament to continue beyond the hour of 4:30 or something of that nature. That needs to be understood as well.
Yeah.
And I think also on all of the criticisms from that end about what we could or could not have done. I think we've gone over enough as to where our principles stand on the matter. But the truth be told, in the political world, is that we filed a motion of no confidence against the Speaker. There is no way that we are going to receive any favours in that Parliament to bring any sort of motions or perhaps even make a statement with the Speaker sitting in the chair. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. It will not happen. And so, that is the reason we waited. We got together. We were all dressed for Parliament. And we waited up the street until we saw who took the chair. And then we did our press release explaining why we are not there. And that is the position we have taken. And I have to also agree with the Honourable Leader that with all that we were criticized for by the Honourable Premier Wayne Panton, with using our, what he considered lack of action against the Speaker in 2019.
Yeah, 2020, I think it was.
2020.
Yeah.
He launched his political platform on hashtag She's Supported to now end up being the premier, and yet draws a line in the sand. Does fine. You know, like we did, you decided to form a government with the speaker, understanding this past. But then you find yourself in this position. You draw a line in that sand. You have the full support of the government. You have of the governor. You have the full support of the opposition, and you allow the situation to get where it is now, where once again we are held hostage, where once again the country comes to a halt. And that is the real disappointment here. If this is the road we are going to continue to go down, we're just, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again?
Expecting a different result.
Expecting a different result. You know, so, you know, we are not avoiding our responsibility. In fact, we are upholding our responsibilities as an opposition,
yes,
and for good governance. And we are only asking for the opportunity to carry out our constitutional responsibility as the opposition and as MPs and representatives for our constituencies.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I had an observation on this and others as well. During the press briefing that you had on Friday, all right, at some point, the reporters were able to elicit from you the names of persons who you had spoken to on the other side, of a possible, change in government. We still have 2 years to go before an election is constitutionally due. Could happen before then, but we know it must happen, in another 2 years' time. Do you believe that by identifying at least some of those persons who either were approached by you or who you may have approached, I'm not sure which way, by revealing their names, that puts you at a disadvantage of any future negotiations with them should the opportunity arise?
I haven't really thought through that, to be honest with you, OC. I think, just from my personal perspective with this whole thing, regardless of what they want to say, discussions did take place.
Mm-hmm.
Was told this morning that some were on CMR denying that there was. And they did take place. Names were mentioned. But in their own debate on Friday, they talked about this being a reset. Clearly, ever since motions were filed, the Premier has circled the
wagons.
Circle the wagons around him, and clearly has been able to get the complete support and vote of confidence from all of their members. When they filed that motion, I had no doubt where this was going and what the outcome would be. So at this point, I would want to just leave them alone, let them go on,
mm-hmm.
and give them that opportunity to see if they can really hold it together. We said this at the very outset. OC got on this. Remember, all of this stuff started from last year, last summer. They were barely 3-4 months in office before tensions. You could see things, instabilities creeping in, and people, there were chatter about them wanting to remove the Premier and have a different Premier in there and a new government. So this is not something new. It has been there for some time. But if this causes them to gel together, mm-hmm. and to hold themselves and to last out the term, I say good for them. The last thing the country needs is this kind of stuff going on. I don't want to see a failed government. I really do not. But I'm afraid up until last week Friday, that's where we were. We can't ignore that.
Yeah. Folks, we're going to take that commercial break that we have to. Please stay tuned. The conversation with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy MacTaggart, and Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh, will continue. So please stay tuned.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage invites nominations to the 2023 National Heroes Day Awards. The theme is volunteerism and charitable services. Nominate a person or non-profit organization that has exceptionally contributed to the Cayman Islands. To nominate, visit gov.ky/YSCH and click Nominate for NHD. The deadline for submissions is midnight, Sunday, 16th of October. Call 244-2424 for more information. Nominate your hero, Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. While it is Monday, the day that has been assigned for the government, no government department or other government entity or member of the government booked today. So as a result of that, the opposition wanted to know whether or not they could be accommodated, and we have accommodated them. In the event that you're curious as to why they're on the show that is normally reserved for government, that is when the government shows up, of course. So, gentlemen, what do we say to those persons who believe that one of the reasons that the PAC government may have circled the wagons was that those who are not ministers are parliamentary secretaries. Any change in government, any coalition with the opposition may mean loss of a ministerial position or loss of parliamentary secretary position. Do you believe that that may have had any bearing on it? And since we now know that there were discussions between some members of the PAC government and the opposition, can you tell us whether or not positions were discussed in relation to who would acquire ministerial positions, who would not, whether or not it would have meant demotions? For some, I'm hearing, some tidbits about things being said that if you can't lead, your group, you can't come over and lead ours, and we're not even sure whether or not you would get a ministerial position. Since everybody's now speaking from the heart and, and making all of the confessions, let's get some more.
I mean, from my perspective, I can't help but believe that those discussions had to take place amongst them. I mean, the reality would be if we were to be forming a government with remnants or elements of the existing government, it means that there would be, I would say, a significant number of their existing ministers who would not be a part of that government and who would lose their position. And I can't help but believe that is one of the part of the glue that holds them together. Is the reality is that anything else, and I'm out of a job. I no longer have my ministerial position. So absolutely has to be a part of the coercion, I think, that would have taken place in order to get them to gel together and to come up with a motion of confidence.
I would take it a little further. I would go back to where the times that we understood, and I'll actually say that we were encouraged to assist members of the government in bringing a vote of no confidence against the Premier. Their negotiations within themselves, I think, quite often fell apart because of the arguments over who would be Premier, Deputy Premier, what ministries, etc., things would move around. So, yeah, that is always a part of it. And then, of course, when two parties are talking, very similar to what happened after the election, the general election, it is a matter of who will be leadership, who will lead, and then who will be ministers and who will not be ministers. In this case, with there being 6 of us, and if we were so minded to form a government with anyone from the other side, we would just need 4. And then others would come, as we would say, others would come running after that. But the first 4 to cross the floor obviously gets to choose, or gets the favors as far as what their positions would be, or get to make suggestions or requests as to what their positions would be. So yes, you have to overcome leadership, and then you also then have to negotiate how many seats in cabinet. If it is a progressives-led government, we obviously want to have a majority in cabinet. It would make no sense to have a 50-50 or be a minority within your own cabinet. And so all of these things come into play, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say to OC, going back to what I said about how long these things have, this has been an issue. Mm-hmm. It was last year's summer. I took it upon after hearing a lot of this stuff and knowing what was going on, I actually went and met with the Premier. At my request, he accommodated me.
Okay.
And I went to see him in his office, and I briefed him on what we were seeing and hearing with regard to these approaches. And he didn't seem at that point too perturbed by it. I concluded that he was aware of it, that these things were out there, but did not seem perturbed by them or too concerned about it. So it was something that I took upon myself to do, because I said I just thought it so strange that 3 months into, 4 months into a government that there was this talk and these things chatter and these things, approaches being made from such an early point. Mm-hmm. I did. And so just to give a flavor for what really, what had been going on as well, from such early days in their government.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, we I think we've now passed that point, and I believe I did say it on your show here, OC, that if we had been, even personally, you sit there and you're like, oh my God, let's get going, let's see the country moving, let's get down to Parliament, let's do the people's work. You're in this limbo because you never know from one week to the next whether the government is going to survive. And so if this vote of no confidence against the PAC government brings them together, then so be it. Let us move on from that. So and understanding and just reflecting back that our boycott from the Parliament is only in part, but majority, because of the way they treated our motion of no confidence against the government and sidelining it for their own motion of confidence, but it is primarily to do with the Speaker sitting in the chair. But if this brings the PAC together and they're able to move forward and work cohesively, if I were a political analyst watching the debates on Friday, I would say, no, that hasn't happened, because I didn't hear a whole lot of, I have full confidence in the Premier, I have full confidence in the PAC. I hear a lot of what I have done, what we have done.
Which brings me to this question. we're 2 years out from an election. At some point in time, each of those individual government members will have to demonstrate what they have done for their constituents. Do you believe that based on what you may have heard in terms of what may have caused the dissension in the first place amongst the government, that everyone's appetite will be satisfied when it comes to projects being done in their various constituencies? The completion of the Linford-Pearson highway, the east-west, arterial, because they're all quote-unquote independent members.
Absolutely.
So they all are going to be held individually accountable by their constituents. Do you believe that in 2 years they will be able to fulfill the appetites, for everyone to come election time to show what they have done for their constituencies?
Individually, perhaps, I don't know. What I do know is that our focus at this time is to continue to build on the foundation of the progressives. We will be fielding a full slate of candidates in the 2025 elections if we get there. And that is where our focus is at this time. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. We're going to continue to build on that. We're looking forward to the next 20 years. And that is where our focus will be. If there's anything that the government brings to the parliament that is for the benefit and of our people, we will be there to support it. If we see further deterioration of our democracy, if we see further marginalizations of the opposition, then we will be there to fight for that too. But that is where our focus is at this time. I am afraid that what you are saying is correct, that they are all now, as we all in the political world talk about midterms around the corner, that is where their focus will now turn to, is what do I have left to do in the next year and a half to get reelected? And so we'll see what happens there.
Okay. But I think more wholesomely to look at it, on a broad base and looking at what all of them want. We see everybody cannot have everything that they want. We ain't got enough money to provide it all. So there has to be that negotiation. There has to be that give and take. And, I would venture to say, I'm sticking my head out on a limb here. I mean, they have a budget over this 2-year period of some $300 million to spend on capital projects. They ain't got anywhere near half of that spent. It just nothing has really been moved. There's real inertia there in the abilities to get things done, and so it's difficult to say even what they have there right now will whether the projects and the commitments. I think if you look at their SPS statements, there are, if I recall correctly, there are certainly over 200 commitments that they have made in the SPS, right? And precious few of them have been delivered to date. And so I struggle to see, I think they've got some real challenges, let me put it that way, within the next 2.5 years in order to get through and to deliver on their promises and their commitments.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want to get your opinion on the documents that were tabled by the Speaker in Parliament in relation to the Code of Conduct. And also, one of our listeners has written in and said, can you ask your guests if they feel so strongly about their position in that they boycotted Parliament? Have you written to the FCO or the Minister for the Overseas Territories or the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in terms of what has transpired in the Cayman Islands? Folks, please stay tuned. Those questions will be answered when we return.
60 and bossy with J and money. When a trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. I instant entry. Look how you lucky. Bossy, JN money, bossy. JN money, send you go a yard. Teen, bossy. Jamaica well bossy. 60 yard bossy. We well proudie.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with JN money for a chance to win a dream vacation for two to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. JN money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 yard bossy.
No JN bank account required.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have about a half an hour left in the show. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to our WhatsApp number 9253261 or email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. So one of our listeners wanted to know whether or not you have written to the FCO, the Minister for the Overseas Territories, or the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in relation to what has occurred here in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah. And the short answer there, OC, is no, we have not written there. We don't believe at this point that that is something we would do. I mean, it is, I think, a matter that should be dealt with locally in our Parliament. We have the capability to deal with it quite easily. And, that's where it should remain. Right to the Foreign Office, I'm not sure that they would do anything themselves. So that short answer is just
certainly not within their purview at this point in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any observations? Have you been able to look at the code of conduct for ministers? Is it something that has been developed in consultation with parliamentarians, or this is just a document that has been produced by the Speaker and his administrative staff?
I can take that one, OC. It is a document that was first drafted shortly after, or certainly presented to the Parliament Management Commission shortly after the elections. Mm-hmm. So we have had it for some time. The first time I think that the wider parliamentarians, all parliamentarians, had sight of it, I think was in March or April, which I think was the last time we've actually had a meeting of the Parliament Management Commission. But the document was drafted, and it came back and forth several times to the Commission, as there were shortcomings in it. The first one was just too wieldy and complex, I thought, and detailed in terms of, what you can do, what you can't do. It needed to be something that was far simpler. And what came back then was one that set out certain principles, the principles in which parliamentarians should behave and act in all of their dealings. Where we actually got to, as far as my recollection is, when the last time we met, was the document itself really lacked any sort of disciplinary or investigative mechanism to allow for independent, what I would describe as independent investigation, or some independent group to look into allegations of misconduct by parliamentarians. and to make and adjudicate on those, and then to impose sanctions, and what types of sanctions. So all of that was lacking from the document, and the opposition, myself and Mr. Hugh, who else sits on the commission, as well as Sir Alden, we pushed back on that and asked that this be included. Where it then got to, there was a proposal or discussion about putting together, having a committee of 3, with one person appointed by the Premier, one by the opposition, one by the Speaker. And again, that truly is not an independent committee, and truly, it just doesn't sit well. So we suggested no, it needs to be something truly independent. Whether that is, it seemed to me, and I haven't really pushed through and thought through the consequences of this, whether this is even feasible. But I thought something like the Commission for Standards in Public Life might be the ideal body that could investigate these things and deal with them, because you're dealing, after all, with a very small group of people. You don't need people from within to be adjudicating those things.
Good point.
So that's where we are, and I don't think we're far off from getting that finished. We just need to put our heads down and get it done, and we need. There was to have been a meeting that never happened to discuss that and try to come up with a something that could be suitable, and then take it forward from there to get it. But I do think that we are near there with it.
Okay.
I think from what I've seen, will be a whole lot of overlap in there, because you've got the commissions, commissions for standards in public life, and they've got documents with regard to the way people in public life ought to behave and act, and they basically are all the same, and so it's we'll see where we get to, but we're not far off.
One of our listeners has written in and said the opposition lost an opportunity to come into the chamber and openly challenge the Speaker and tell him he had no right to preside. They sold the fight, but did not leave the dressing room. Says people were watching Parliament, they were not watching the press conference. Again, I'm not sure whether or not parliamentary procedures would have allowed you to address the issue. I think.
Good point. My view is. Go ahead, Joey.
No. I think the government clearly demonstrated that they had no intentions to allow us any leeway in the Parliament. We would be facing a Speaker, and we'd be at the mercy of a Speaker to whom we were bringing a vote of no confidence against. Yeah. There would be absolutely no opportunity other than to have a very dramatic walkout, which we didn't do. We decided to go and wait until we saw who took the chair, and then we expressed our concerns at that point, and the fact that we would be boycotting the Parliament. Yeah. So, other than going in and sitting there and then getting up and walking out, I don't think we had much of a recourse, not in that environment.
Okay, and I think that answers this question that one of our listeners had also, whether or not you're going to do anything else to, in terms of your move to have the Speaker not sit in the chair, whether or not you have approached the Governor. Again, the Governor really has no say, in this, other than the fact that, his ability to dissolve the Parliament after consultation, I believe, with the Premier, but I'll look that up.
That is the ultimate weapon that he has, but that's something that you don't use that weapon so willingly or easily. It is absolutely a last resort. And do you dissolve Parliament over the Speaker? I think it's at just very rare occasions that you would actually use a weapon. That's really taking a huge mallet to a pin. So I certainly not. But I mean, going back just to the whole thing with the Speaker, challenge the Speaker, you wouldn't get 2 words in. He shut you down.
Mm-hmm. And this one says that how can the House meet when the Constitution says there shall be an opposition? Yes. Constitution says there shall be an opposition, and the opposition the leader of the opposition and others are expected or entitled to sit in Parliament, but there's nothing that says that in their absence that Parliament still cannot function.
Absolutely.
So that's my answer to that.
Yeah.
I think you have some more information that you wanted to share with us.
Just before he shares that, I'd like to preface that by saying that, what I think is going to, and where we see this going, is they have pat the agenda today. They'll be suspending standing orders to have a third reading of their bills. They plan to finish Parliament today in our absence. I don't think they have any intentions of coming back to the Parliament before November 30th. That's my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the magic date is for November 30th, but in any event, where we are at now, we will continue to call on the government to do the right thing. We will continue to call on the Premier to exercise some of those principles that he talks about so much and the ones that he resigned from the PPM on. So that's where we're at. And again, we cannot afford to have a situation where we are tethered or where we are restricted from carrying out our constitutional duty.
Mm-hmm. Someone wanted to know also whether or not there are any possibility of amendments coming to the standing orders to avoid a similar situation in the future.
Well, my overall comment to that, OC, is that the standing orders are outdated and need an update. I think it was last term, or maybe even my very first term, 2013 to 2017, there were attempts made. I attended because I was part of it. I think we all were. There was a committee of the whole House selected to review standing orders and update them, and it never got completed. And it is something that is urgently needed because there's so much that has changed over time, and there have been some minor amendments or piecemeal amendments. The most significant one, I think, was in 2020 or 2021 when we got the new constitution. The Attorney General brought amendments to the standing orders to give effect to the changes in the constitution that were approved by the UK back in 2020. So they did make those amendments in order to effect those changes. But what my colleague was just deputy leader, comments with regard to, Wayne's the Premier's principles really gives me a nice segue into, events back in 2020 when he resigned from the Progressives and really went to town on us with regard to his principles. And I just remember and have here now, article that was written by Kim News Service on July or 7th of March, it looks like, 2020. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read selected parts of it.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said...
Susan is just asking us to take the break first.
Okay.
This way we won't have to interrupt you. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
So much happening, so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane. Debris includes roofing materials, tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles and must not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman. Okay, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're in the last leg of the show this morning with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader and Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hughes. So one of our listeners has said whether or not you prepared to return your pay for that day. Say that you didn't do the electoral members any favor or justice by a no-show. And they say that because they have no record of your vote on your own motion.
Well, yes, we did not vote on our own motion, but for good reasons. People need to understand what the government did. That we took of our motion filed first, and which had been the first item on the order paper for Wednesday last when Parliament was first supposed to meet. They deferred the meeting for 2 days to allow themselves to file a motion of confidence in the government, which they then, on Thursday evening, put forward as the first item of business on the order paper. That is contrary to all standards of good parliamentary procedure with regard to government business. A motion of no confidence under the Westminster system is extremely important, and it must be given prominence and precedent with regard to the business of the House, because what you have are a significant number of people saying they no longer have confidence in the government and in particular the leadership. And that needs to be settled before the regular business of the House can go on. So here we had yesterday, on Friday, a motion of confidence where they all got up and sung their own praises. As an opposition, what would we say? We would go, and I would have gone in there and said everything that I was going to say as well in my own motion of no confidence. What else could I say? So effectively, the effect that it had really is nullifying the validity then of a lack of confidence motion, in that you had a motion which 12 people would have voted yea and 6 no, and settled the question. So there was no further need for my motion of no confidence. I was prepared and was going to go. I would have gone in there. Had I gone there, I would have probably just withdrawn the motion because I had no further, it couldn't be argued any further.
Unless there was a fear of some defections during the,
during the debate for it,
yes.
Which doesn't seem to have been anyway. But anyway, OC, I really wanted to get back to what what my colleague was talking about with regard to the now Premier when he withdrew from the Progressives, and it was a CNS article, and I'm going to pick bits and pieces out of it here because some of it just isn't relevant. In a brief statement to CNS, Panton said that the recent events had made it a hard decision easier. He often at odds with his former party colleagues in the past on a number of social justice issues. He has been a genuine advocate for the environment and the LGBT community. Panton, however, confirmed his decision to part ways with the party after the events surrounding the Speaker's involvement in a violent assault on a manager at a beach bar last month. He said that it was clear that he and the Progressives no longer shared the same values. It was time to accept that we do not appear to share the same principles and values, sense of justice and perspective on what is best for the longer-term interest of our country, he told CNS. Recent events, which are very sad for the country, have personally made a very difficult decision much easier. Panton attended the She-supported rally last week, also erected a sign in the PPM yard days after the incident and Speaker McKeever Bush's admissions that he had behaved badly. But like many, Panton sees the Speaker's failure to resign and Premier Alden McLaughlin's support for Bush in allowing him to remain in the prestigious office while he takes some undefined leave of absence as unacceptable. Panton has not said where this leaves his own political career. Hard to imagine, however, that the former finance minister, who was one of the party's few truly progressive and qualified politicians, stepping completely away from the political stage. And you know the rest of it, but I'd like to know what he'd say today when he said back then that it was unacceptable, for the Speaker to remain in power and remain in post. I mean, it's just complete flip-flop from where he was back in 2017. The fact that he hasn't spoken and said a word about it is very telling to me.
There's been radio silence since the deadline, other than that the storm was coming. The storm has come, the storm has gone, but he's refusing to deal with the storm that he has happening right now within his government.
Does he have an out that he demanded the resignation by a particular date, and even though that didn't happen, it is out there now. Now, does he have an out by saying, I asked for the resignation, but I didn't say when it was supposed to take effect?
Yeah, he said if I did not get that resignation by 5 p.m. on the Friday, he would be bringing a vote of no confidence to remove him. There's no going back on that. What has happened, OC, is that the challenge of removing the Speaker is intricately tied to his ability to keep his government together. That is all that has happened. And a reversal from the Speaker accepting our vote of no confidence against the government, citing that it should take precedence over any other business, and being on the order paper as a lone business for the day, which was set for the Parliament for Wednesday, to now rejecting our motion of no confidence against the Speaker and removing or demoting our vote of no confidence against the government and replacing that with a vote of confidence. Okay. It's all intricately tied together. And the Premier sat there on Friday and did not address it, did not have anything to say, and he still has not said anything publicly defending his actions, going back on his, as he likes to say, his principles, PLES, not PALS. He owes the people of this country an explanation. He has gone against all of the principles of PACT, people-driven accountability. What's it? See, I can't even remember. But T is transparency. And T is transparency. But I think if anyone have the ability to sit through the contributions that happened on Friday and really put the dots together, they will understand what is happening. But we stand here ready as an opposition, ready when the government is willing to exercise good governance, good parliamentary governance, and we are ready to work with them for the good of this country going forward. But we have taken this stance on the Speaker, and that is the stance we are going to stay with. We have to draw the line in the sand somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone else again. I'm not going to sit down and discuss rumors and what he said and she said. We have to stop this madness.
Okay. Now, why does it take until so long for a speaker to be identified and appointed if it is likely to take place from within?
There is a deputy speaker in place, Mr. Connor. There's a deputy speaker there and her role is clear under the Constitution. And he resigning, whatever date he resigned, he cites as a date of resignation. Once he resigns, he should vacate the chair and let the deputy speaker take the chair. And then if they want to call a special meeting in the House and come back and re-elect someone else as deputy speaker or bring a motion to the floor to put someone else in as a speaker temporarily, whatever they want to do, they don't need all of that time.
And it really doesn't take that long they want to identify a speaker as such. I mean, there are a number of names that, you hear with me floating around.
Yes.
Of people, some former speakers and whatnot. So, I mean, I don't think it needs to be or has to be a very long and drawn out process.
Perhaps again, this is one of those things they can't agree on.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, we have enough time, a minute and a half for closing comments from both of you.
Yeah. Well, OC, again, thanks for hosting us. Give us the chance to come and speak today. Thank you for the time that we've had. I hope that the public will have had a better understanding and appreciation for the actions that and things that the opposition have taken with regard to the events as they unfolded last week. By any accounts, what the government did to the opposition was quite heavy-handed and unnecessary. And I hope that we can find that way forward, as Deputy Leader has talked about. But we remain open. If people want to understand more, ask us questions. We're not afraid to give answers to anyone who to our constituents and whatnot who approach us, and we've been getting those questions as well. So I thank you again for that opportunity. I wish everyone a good day.
Okay, and in retrospect, Mr. Hugh spoke, personally, that maybe if they had to do it all over again in the first instance when you had the situation with the speaker, you may have handled it, quite differently. At least you felt that way.
I felt absolutely. I certainly would, and especially where we are today and what we're trying. But and we didn't have that hindsight. The Premier certainly had it, but we didn't have it. But yeah, that's certainly that's the way I feel. And again, I spoke for myself this morning. I do know. Yeah.
Okay. Want to thank you.
Let me, and I just want to say, OC, thank you so much for the opportunity to come on this morning, and I know you may get under a little fire for it, with it being Government Monday, but we thought it was important for the country to hear once more our reasons for the position we have taken. I also want to just thank all the many people who have reached out supporting us. I know I'll probably take quite a few licks, as we say in politics, for this. So for the stance that we've taken and where we are at this point. But again, I will reiterate, we brought a motion of no confidence against the government because we felt, and we were encouraged to do so, that there was a need for it. And if the result of that is for them to band together and start to produce and do good for the people of our country, we are there to support them in that. This stance that we've taken this week, we feel that this is a part of our responsibility as an opposition, to ensure that good governance and good parliamentary standards are there, and to ensure that we maintain and uphold the kind of integrity and respect that people expect from us as parliamentarians, all of us. Mm-hmm. And, we are just blown away by the way we were. I describe it as being bullied into a corner where we had no opportunity to do the people's work. And so we've taken this stance. Again, we reiterate this morning, we will continue to talk the truth. We will continue to be here for our people, but we will not return to the Parliament until the Speaker steps down.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you. I've already explained to people why you're here today. And when you were in government there, we had members, of the opposition or aspiring politicians at that point in time, in the studio as well. So I don't have a problem with that. If people want to complain, they're certainly free to do so. My shoulders, they may not be as muscular as they used to be, but they are still broad. They are still broad as well. So, folks, I want to remind you also that the proceedings at our Parliament will be carried live on Breeze 105.3 FM here in the Cayman Islands. John Sterling, Dweeny Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Radio Cayman. The voice. The heart. The soul of the Cayman.